polishing the heart. What does that even mean? For most people, it sounds like poetry, a phrase you hear in old books or sermons. But here's the surprising part. Modern science is showing us it's more real than we ever thought. The heart isn't just a pump. It sends signals to the brain. It shapes how we handle stress, make decisions, even how we feel about life. Researchers call this the heart-brain axis. And when your heart rhythms are balanced, what scientists measure as heart rate variability, your anxiety drops, your focus sharpens, and emotions stop running the show. And this isn't just theory. A 2023 clinical study found that patients who practiced daily gratitude journaling showed lower inflammation and improved heart rate variability. Medical evidence that caring for the heart literally reshapes how we cope with stress. So polishing the heart isn't just a spiritual metaphor, it's a survival skill. And that's what this video is about. Why ancient teachers across cultures made the heart central to education. Why we lost that, and how you and I can bring it back today, not as theory, but as a daily practice. For thousands of years, people believed education wasn't just about filling the mind. It was about shaping the heart. Aristotle in Greece taught that you don't become virtuous by accident. You practice it, like training a muscle. Across the world in China, Confucius was doing something similar. He saw society falling apart, so he anchored education in Ren and Li, benevolence and ritual. Students practiced thousands of rituals, from how to bow to how to eat. It wasn't about manners for manners' sake. It was about weaving ethics into everyday life. And in the Islamic world, scholars like Al-Farabi and Ibn Sina warned, knowledge without humility can corrupt. Their schools taught science, yes, but also restraint, gratitude, and compassion. To them, polishing the heart was just as essential as sharpening the mind. Then came the break. The Industrial Revolution didn't need wise citizens, it needed efficient workers. Schools were redesigned to serve factories. Rote memorization, obedience, standardization. British officials cut education down to the 3 R's: reading, writing, arithmetic. Character was pushed off to Sunday school. By the 19th century, even poets were sounding the alarm. William Blake warned that schools were turning into dark satanic mills that crushed innocence. And soon, principals openly declared, our job is not to raise character, but to produce engineers, managers, labourers. That's when education lost its soul. And we're still living in the aftermath. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. In today's world, even virtue has been turned into performance. Compassion, humility, even generosity. They're often broadcast on social media for likes and approval. The heart is no longer polished in silence, it's polished in public, for an audience. And when goodness becomes a show, it loses its substance. Sociologists call this the age of hyper-individualism. Families shrink into nuclear units, communities thin out, and people grow up believing that life is measured in money, titles, or followers. But relationships, the messy, imperfect ones that include conflict and disappointment, are what teach us empathy, patience, and repair. Strip them away and you strip away the very training ground for virtue. The irony is that a comfortable life can be just as dangerous as a cruel one. When everything is easy, when no one challenges you, growth slows. The philosopher Nietzsche warned, he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. But without struggle, people stop searching for the why. They chase pleasures and collapse at the first sign of pain. Writers across cultures saw the same danger. Alexis de Tocqueville, watching America's early democracy, warned that extreme individualism could leave people isolated, shut up in the solitude of their own hearts. More recently, Jonathan Haidt's research on moral psychology shows how comfort-obsessed parenting has produced fragile teens, protected from pain but unprepared for it. So here's the truth we don't want to admit. Being good in a world that is often cruel is not weakness, it's strength. Because cruelty is easy, cynicism is easy, What takes work and courage is to polish the heart until envy, greed, and arrogance don't control you anymore. And that's why this lesson is urgent. Without it, we may build successful resumes and wealthy societies, but will keep collapsing from the inside out. When the heart isn't polished, life still goes on. People still get degrees, jobs, houses, but under the surface, cracks start to form. Greed is the first crack. When the heart is ruled by it, nothing is enough. History gives us plenty of examples, kings and CEOs who had everything, yet risked it all chasing more. Greed corrodes judgment until people value gain over justice, and societies rot from the inside out. Then comes envy, the quiet poison. It doesn't shout, but it eats away at gratitude. In families, envy turns siblings into rivals. In friendships, it turns joy into comparison. Ancient texts, from the Quran to the Bible to Stoic philosophy, warn that envy blinds us to blessings right in front of us. And modern psychology confirms it. Envy is linked to depression, resentment, even breakdowns in physical health. Anger is the third danger. A heart that can't regulate anger becomes a source of destruction. Nations fall into cycles of revenge. Families fracture over words spoken in rage. Neuroscientists show how chronic anger keeps the nervous system stuck in fight or flight, raising blood pressure and shortening lives. The fallout isn't just emotional, it's biological. And then there's arrogance. Arrogance convinces us we have nothing to learn, no reason to change. It blocks growth, blinds us to advice, and leaves us hollow even when the world applauds us. The final danger is harder to see. Hollowness behind success. You can achieve everything, the grades, the job, the praise, and still feel restless, insecure, unsatisfied. Because without polishing the heart, every victory feels temporary. Every failure feels crushing. This is why traditions across history insisted the real work isn't outside, it's inside. Because knowledge without a polished heart can destroy. But knowledge with a polished heart builds lives, families, and societies that last. So what do we actually do? If polishing the heart is this urgent, how do we begin? Ancient thinkers gave us some of the first roadmaps. Aristotle believed virtue was a habit, something you train daily, like a muscle. He said, "We become, just by doing, just acts." That means kindness isn't just a feeling, it's a practice. Imam al-Ghazali called the heart a mirror that rusts with envy, greed, or arrogance, and said polishing it meant acts of humility, gratitude, and service. You can't think your way into virtue, you have to live it. The Stoics taught that character grows through daily reflection, polishing the inner life instead of chasing control. Modern psychology now confirms it. Small habits like gratitude journaling, mindfulness, or pausing to breathe can rewire stress responses and build real resilience. But polishing the heart isn't only about inner work, it's about relationships. And relationships are messy. It's easy to block, cancel, or withdraw. Harder to forgive, repair, and stay connected. Yet forgiveness and patience are what polish the heart most. The Harvard study of adult development, the longest study on happiness in history, found one clear truth. People with strong relationships live longer, healthier, and happier lives. Not wealth, not fame, relationships. And beyond family, we need community. Volunteer, join a cause, give back. Because today you might feel strong, but one day you'll be old and fragile. What will matter most is the web of people you invested in, the ties you didn't cut. Even hobbies play a role. A hobby isn't just a pastime, it's practice for virtue. Sports teach discipline and teamwork. Art or music teaches patience and humility. A book club teaches listening and curiosity. Research backs this. Studies show sports participation and hobbies are strongly linked to resilience. And maybe most importantly, meaningful activities keep you busy with growth instead of envy, comparison, and distraction. So, polishing the heart isn't a grand ritual, it's a way of living in daily habits, in how we treat people when it's hard, in where we spend our time. It's in forgiving, serving, creating, and showing up. Because the goal isn't to have a shiny image, it's to have a steady heart, one strong enough to face whatever life brings.